to me, to you. But our pieces left uncovered. I'm thinking about four-leaf clovers. I've got composure, silver coin. You hold me, turn me over. I never expect to forget about it. Watches the breeze, burns golden smoke that you've stolen. Feels like it's my fortune that you're folding. I'm swimming with the sharks. I'm swimming with the sharks. I can't tell you apart from them. You can't tell either. Will we love or fall in deeper? Tell me, darling, what is it you want? How the mind doesn't work like it used to. As I know I remain a danger to me, to you. Going altered by the moment, dear. And there's a hesitation, idle, sweet on survival. I'm on fire, waiting your arrival. I never expect to be sane without it. All you could ask for never made its way into your eyes. Cold in the water, cold unless you're keeping a disguise. I'm swimming with the sharks. I'm swimming with the sharks. It's out of my control. You set the play in motion. Couldn't be a bigger ocean. Tell me, darling, is this what you want? Oh, and all you could ask for never made its way into your eyes. Cold in the water, cold unless you're keeping a disguise. All you could ask for never made its way into your eyes. So very clever, leaving me to wonder what you hide.
I think it's dawned on me that you ain't coming back. I've lost my chance to see us find our way back. And in the end, amidst these trying times, I'll always try to find you. I'll lie to you to find the truth that you hold back. So stay with me. You know that I'll follow. I can't breathe. Together we'll fall apart. Stay here right in my arms, and we'll start again. So stay with me. Together we'll fall apart. Together we'll fall apart. Together we'll fall apart. We'll fall apart, I know that we're a mess. Then I know that you try your best. And you're calling me to over dramatically talk to me. And it's so funny, you're all I wanted. And I can't talk, want you out of my life. So say none, I'll wait for days if you ain't one.
To the to the Camelot Smite League Gauntlet. We have the Order of the Blight Merlin Division versus the Bodega Hive Merlin Division. Mechanus Kadisi is here, joined by none other than Dr. Shrew. As we get picks and bans ready to go, who are you looking at right now? Any individual player?
It should be an interesting game. Order of the Blight have a couple roster swap ups, so that's definitely a little advantage towards Bodega Hive. But we'll have to see what Order of the Blight and Bodega can do as we head into this all important best of one game to see who gets to make it into the playoffs.
Absolutely. And picks and bans going really quick. We have Hibois, Aphrodite, Thor, and Hell straight up, straight off the board. All four very good picks. All four definitely able to be played in multiple roles right now. Thor in jungle and solo, Hibois in jungle and mid, Hell in support, mid and solo, and Aphrodite in probably mid and support, I would say. And then Terra taken off the board as well.
I like the bands we're seeing so far, all very good in their respective positions. The Terra can bring so much. I was about to head into how Terra was still going to be available, and Bodega Hive, recognizing that she is a very strong pick, opt to take that away. And then it's the Vamana on the side of Order of the Blight getting that incredibly strong jungle and solo flex pick off the board. He can bring so much right now. So as their second pick, not wanting to leave that one open for Bodega to pick up.
Absolutely. Vamana just amazing. Bodega Hive taking the best solo laner off the board immediately. Hercules immediately. Marticarus taken right off the board as well by Order of the Blight in return. Though with the next pick not having been taken yet, honestly, Marticarus, we've seen a lot of play from him, but I don't think we've seen a lot of success.
I don't believe we have either. He can bring so much to those late game team fights. His early game, pretty weak in general. So we'll have to see if Kamazos was taken, can pilot him through that weaker early game and make it into late game where he can just deal so much damage and maybe bring some success to the pick here in the CSL for the first time, as it's the Horus locked in next for Order of the Blight. I assume that's got to go to Obluo in support.
My boy is picking up my boy right now. Obluo, I'm pretty sure picking up Horus. Yamoja locked in here. Definitely going to be Fatty Bacon piloting that pick. A very difficult pick to play. But to return to my hyperfixation of the Horus for a moment, honestly, I love that pick with Marticarus. Horus will shore up the early game. Morgan Lefebvre picked on the side of Bodega Hive as well, and Shang-Ah, the direct return. Honestly, I'm liking Blight's draft so far. Bodega Hive have a really good front line, but I think the Horus can help shore up the early game from Marticarus and put Marticarus in a spot to be ahead. And that is the one place you do not want to face this god or this monster is from behind. So,
Definitely. I'm trying to decide if I feel like this Changa is going to head into solo lane for Dirty Bubble or if Rich is going to be piloting it in mid, because that, to me, is a lot different for what it's going to bring into this early game. And I think I'd honestly prefer the Changa to go into that solo lane role.
honestly, absolutely. Right now, mid lane is being dominated by a lot of the artillery mages as Kernonos, Ishtar, Susanoo make their way off the board as well. But mid lane is being dominated by things like the Agni, the Morgan Le Fay, the Merlin, all these guys that can hit you from over walls. What is Shanga going to do to that? She's just going to hit two.
Exactly. That's why I feel like it would be a good matchup just to bring that extra level of safety against the Hercules, as well as the ability to just overwhelm in damage, even if you can't outright win that lane with how much of a bully Hercules can be. When you rotate into team fights, Changa can just bring it so much with the entirety of her kit.
Absolutely. And Hun Bat's taken off the board here last by Bodega Hive. Another great team fighter for sure. Um, the one of the biggest things I'm looking at here is how well can these two teams round out their draft for their fights. Marticarus having a lot more of that kind of single target damage is able to go in and get one pick Shang'a able to stun out a whole team if she can get any kind of lineup. Hu Yi, one of the better team fight ultimates as far as damage and just zoning. And it does have a slow, but yet again, really good in the jungle, really good through team fights, and I think we're definitely seeing a Marticorous mid, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would agree that that is where this looks like it's headed now. Oh, he's interesting decision for me as both the ROM that Bodega Hive are currently hovering and that Jingwei are available. They play into this crit meta so well, and with CERN and Ishtar off the board, those two seem like the go-to picks for me. It looks
Absolutely. But
so.
you have to, like, in that role, you have to remember the Hu Yi passive. As double crit comes up, Hu Yi might have been a stealthily good lock.
He does
That
have that
pat
passive where when he gets crit, he can't get crit for the next few seconds, which is nice and will help against the Circuit ROM. And he does bring a lot with that Sun's ultimate, as you talked about, the stun that he can have, the knock up. I just feel like his early game is fairly weak as well. He's gonna lose out in pressure to that ROM, and if he can't get a good start to it and falls behind it all, I have a hard time seeing him keeping up with what Rama is going to be able to put out.
So again, Horus, I believe, is going to shore up a little bit of that early game for. We were saying Marticorous at first, but for Hu Yi as well. And if you look at the early game for these two teams, Yamoja with her slow, her stun, her knockback on her Riptide if she decides to use it that way, her healing and shields, as well as Rom with his slow and his cripple, and his, of course, minion piercing abilities, versus Horus with his stun and his knock up, and Hu Yi into his stun and his damage boost. There's a lot of CC in that lane, but I think Hu Yi Horus has a sneaky little advantage here into the Rom Yamoja.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out when we get into the game. Taking a look at the draft in totality for both of these teams, I gotta say I'm leaning towards Bodega Hive. Emoja Hercules, such a controlling and hard to deal with frontline. All the setup that they can both bring to just allow this Morgan Le Fay and Rom to sit in the back line and kind of free cast, with Serket being so mobile and able to use that Cobra's Kiss to set up her as well for her carries. I feel like it's going to be quite the uphill battle for this Order of the Blight squad to get the victory here.
Absolutely. I feel like the Order of the Blight squad have a much higher threshold of execution they have to meet. They have to play so much better than Bodega Hive in order to get this done because their abilities are simply not as easy to utilize in this circumstance as Bodega Hive have set themselves up to be. And
I
in
haven't
that,
talked about that Loki pick yet, but I mean Loki can bring a lot to that jungle role. I wouldn't say he can bring as much as Serket can, especially with her most recent buffs, but he does have that ability to kind of sneak around the map and just absolutely blow someone up and one-shot them. So it's something that both Freak itself on this Morgan Le Fay and Demon on the ROM are going to have to pay attention to and make sure that they are ready to like peel for each other in that backline should the Loki manage to get back there.
absolutely. And one of the biggest things about Loki is honestly, if you're playing Loki, you should be expecting to get people ahead and just win lanes for your team and set yourselves up to win fast. And I think that's exactly what Order of the Blight want to do here. You've got the Shang'A, you've got the Loki, you've got the Hu Yi and the Horus, you've got early game shorn up in Loki and Horus. And if you can get your three lane carries, three lanes of carries, excuse me, if you can get all three of them ahead, that just is going to spell trouble for Bodega Hive. I expect Horus and Loki to be roaming the entire map throughout the entire game and causing havoc if they want to win.
I agree that it's the onus is on them to kind of set the pace here and try to control this early game, because if it goes late, it's going to be quite a bit harder for them to sort of stay into it. Not that Changa, Loki, and Marty don't have the ability to scale into late. They're very good at that.
And Hu Yi is known for it.
Yeah. They definitely they need to win that early game and try to get into late as quickly as possible. I could see a world where the Loki has a bit of a hard time trying to get onto the Morgan Le Fay. She's so good at self peel. If she can beads out or alt use that consuming power to deal with the Loki alt assassinate coming in on her, she has multiple ways to knock him off with the fear on her sigils or the knock up with the dragon. We'll have to see what Trixie Dreams is able to do to try and get in on this Morgan Le Fay.
Absolutely. And yet again, just to make sure I've said it enough times, I guess, the key to this game for both teams is who gets to the late game first. I feel like if Order of the Blight, and more so than other games, I would say, but Order of the Blight, if they are able to hit level 20 first as a team overall, let's say, of course, the enemy solo laner hits level 20, but your ADC and your mid have hit 20, it almost feels like game over for Bodega Hive. But if it's the other way around in any means, if they are even or behind, I feel like Blight is going to have a really hard time fighting that Bodega Hive comp.
I'm gonna be interested to see how Underclass Hero can pilot this Serket, because she's in such a good spot right now. But Serket is a slightly more challenging god to pilot, to be able to use all of her kit to the fullest. So we'll have to find out what lane he kind of decides to kind of put the pressure through, what lane he wants to play through, and if he can bring this pick alive.
If I were Underclass Hero in this game, I am staring at the at El Dirty Bubble and that Shangha. I'm absolutely staring at Shangha. I want Hercules ahead, and I want Hercules to win this game. As we go ahead and get started here, the clear out of the players of Bodega Hive quite quick, but are they going to be ahead? Behind? It looks like they're going to be ahead of the solo laner. Right on. Hercules backing here, channeling the back through as Shang-Ah goes to lane. Is that a EC? What's going on?
He didn't. He used his teleport. Must just have gotten a little lower than he wanted, but he does get the beads out right away from Shang-Ah.
And Rich with an immediate kill onto Freak itself. Very strange start to the game, but Order of the Blight getting exactly what they wanted, getting ahead early in mid. Horus with the wind gust, nothing really showing from it though, and just clearing waves.
It's so good to me that Rich was able to get that first blood. We had talked about how Marty doesn't have the best early game. It's kind of like the weakest point of that god, and so being able to get a kill right off the bat, I mean, that was right around the 1 minute mark. Being able to get that, it's just going to set him up for so much more success and help get him to that
Loki looking for the gank over here in duo. They don't know he's here. The blink in, and it looks like it won't be anything outside of a pair of beads for Semen. But in that regard, beads are burned, and that sets him up to die later if he's not careful.
Yeah, that's a good rotation out of Trixie Dreams on the Loki, trying to get that pressure early in the duo lane, trying to set up his ADC of Camazos was taken up for some success. Didn't result in a kill there, but as you said, got that safety off of the Hu Yi or off of the Rom, excuse me, and will be easier to come back over.
Absolutely. And yet again, we have the Horus having to dash away here, fracture out, if you will. And that's not something you really want to see, but this Horus having to heal up a little bit.
Doesn't actually look like beads were used there. So he does still have that safety net. So not quite as impactful of a rotation, but it's just kind of letting the duo lane know that Trixie Dreams is going to could be looking to try and focus this dual lane and set up his team through that long lane. So something that they are definitely going to have to keep aware of.
Absolutely. And looks like we're getting a little bit of a slower start, which is perfectly fine. That's usually to be expected.
Yeah,
As-
with how important this game is, best of one, you can't really afford to make a mistake that would cost you the game because you don't have a game 2 or a game 3 to get back into it. You have to win this one if you want to make it to playoffs. So makes sense to me that both teams are wanting to take their time, farm up, and make sure that everything goes their way.
Absolutely. The Horus is going to go ahead and Protector's dash over to his Bastion and set up to just keep the minions out of the tower. Always a good use of that dash is to make sure you're in the lane when you need to be.
We saw early that it was El Rosa who was getting all the pressure in this solo lane, but we jumping over there for a moment, we got to see that Dirty Bubble was turning around quite a bit of damage there. Already has that cursed orb, which is quite the power spike here in this early game, especially once he's able to upgrade that into the Doom Orb, which is going to bring so much power to help him try to bully out this Hercules that's starting with the Golden Blade and won't have much defense.
Oh, absolutely. And on top of that, and Trixie coming in with the ultimate assassinate. The bead's out from Rom, and it looks like he's going to get away again. Also, the River's Rebuke down from Yamoja while we're on it.
There's what we were hoping had happened last time if you're an Order of the Blight fan. Got those beads off of the Rom, so he now won't have those available. And with the double stuns and the knockup that their opponents
Blue
have...
getting really low! But the Protector's dash should be enough. Blue down to 7 on that triple shot. I forget what it's called personally.
Astral Barrage, I believe.
Thank you. The Astral Barrage going to be enough to clip the wings of the support of Order of the Blight. Trixie Dreams being chased out of the jungle right now by that circuit. A lot of damage coming through. I would assume at least a couple of crits. And El Dirty Bubble being pushed around in that solo lane as well. The ult, not Moonlight Waltz, but the ultimate having to be dropped by the Shangha as well. As Marticarus is looking to rotate over and try and keep things from going any further. He doesn't know the Circuit is there. That Circuit stealth. Circuit leaping in. Trixie Dreams going down. El Rosa, the return kill, however. But Marticarus, nowhere to go. The Horus lying in. But there's nothing else he can do. Protector's dash to get away. Shangha fighting in as well. But I feel like Order of the Blight have overstayed their welcome. However, Bodega Hive going to back off. And everything will go back to normal. Bodega Hive, however, taking a 2-1 over Order of the Blight in that fight. Stun or fracture out from Obluo and the wind gust, but again, just stacking right now. 2 stacks for this Horus on his Protector's Cloak, 3 for the Yamoja. Underclass hero making his way out. Dirty Bubble being looked at by El Rosa, but that dance able to get him out of dodge.
Was quite a team fight here pretty early in this game, all over that blue buff initially, ending up in Bodega Hive's favor, pushing their lead to not quite even 1,000 yet, but they do get an advantage there in that fight and kind of swing the gold back in their favor, having been a little behind beforehand. I like that grouping out of this Bodega squad. I feel like they have a very good team fight once they're all grouped up together with all of the CC and damage that they can string together. So grouping early, I feel like makes a lot of sense to me from this Bodega squad to try and get some early pressure and snowball this game.
Absolutely. Trixie Dreams also going over. It looked like stealing that purple buff away from 7. And here we go again. Just both ADCs clearing the wave, though obviously the Rom's going to have the better end of that and put some poke down on the as he goes and looks at the gold buff. El Rosa in a lot of trouble here. The Excavate coming through. The dash going to be just enough to get away from the dirty bubble. Who doesn't have the waxing moon to throw out? Speaking of waxing moon, thank you for Lord Poseidon in the chat there, pointing that out. As Underclass Hero leaps in, but nothing really to see here unless the Fracture is going to come in from Obluo. The Astral Quiver coming through. Obluo in a lot of danger, and he's going to go down. 7 with the kill yet again. Horus just cannot stay up, it seems. As Marticarus is looking for Morgan Le Fay here. Not really going to find anything, but this Shang-A wants to rotate over as well. Could be a kill. And Assassinate rings true. Freak itself going down. The Astral Barrage, not going to be enough to take out Kamazats here on the Hu Yi. Not Kamazats, actually. Just the Hu Yi.
That's a good pick there in mid. Now falling for the second time is Freak itself on this Morgan Le Fay. Does have that Doom Orb completed and has picked up that Enchanted Spear. So should be able to continue the farm. But over here in the solo lane, I was going to mention that once that Doom Orb was picked up and...
Waxing Moon dropped, pulled back in, Excavate down, and the driving strike through. El Rose able to get away as well. 1 kill now onto this Hercules in the solo lane.
Well, Rosa not wanting me to be able to get my point across and actually proving me wrong. I was about to say that now that Doom Orb was completed, the damage that Chonga's going to have is going to be really hard for this Hercules to keep up with and to survive through. But picked up that Enchanted Kusari as Assassinates off the mark here in dual lane. And that extra magical protections on the Hercules was enough that he's turning around the fight now against Dirty Bubble.
Absolutely. 40 magical protections cannot go unanswered like that. And honestly, Doom Orb is great, but it's got percent pen. As Bacon is looking to steal away the purple buff, doesn't quite manage to do that. Is able to, however, to steal away one of the smalls of that camp.
A good point pointed out there by Rosie.
Over in mid, Obluo really low, taken down by Freak itself on that ultimate, I think you said overwhelming power?
Consuming power.
Consuming power, my bad. I can admit, I don't know all the ability names quite that well. I know what they do.
A number, 4 for all the 100 and some odd gods. There's a lot. Interesting decision for Freak itself on this Morgan Le Fay, though, to pick up that Vampiric Shroud starter, not opting for the very traditional Sands of Time strat that we see from most mid laners, and not even picking up the Conduit gem. How do you feel about Vampiric Shroud in the mid lane right now?
Vampiric Shroud, so what that really tells me is this Morgan Le Fay thinks she's going to get scrapped on all game, and so far the Morgan has been right. It has been a justified pickup. However, I feel like she's sacrificing some of her damage for it. So we'll have to see if late game it means anything. Because if this Morgan can get into Sacrificial Shroud, it might be worthwhile.
It is. That would be a good pickup. That's definitely the route I would like to see Freak itself go with if you're going to pick up this Vampiric Shroud, but you're going to have to build a little more cooldown in the rest of your items than most of what the other mid laners are going to do with the more standard build, losing out on that 20% that would come from the upgraded Sands of Time. So I have to see if he decides to switch up the build a bit and get that cooldown, or it's just opting to hit hard but less often.
I mean, of course. I mean, one of the ways you could definitely do that is by going that Chronos Pendant, which honestly I feel like would give you more cooldown than. As Trixie Dreams goes in, the Assassinate, not the Execute, but Semin able to get away, beads burned appropriately to make sure he doesn't die there. As Horus is yet again looking at Yamoja, that ranged auto off of that first ability, just going for a stack again.
You can tell that this Rom is feeling comfortable. Does lose the beads there to assassinate, but stood his ground for a while, returning some damage around. Didn't
Semen
need to use
taking
the
a
ult.
lot of poke here. Sorry for talking over you there.
Oh, good. I just feel like with the level lead that he has, like he did get poked out just there, but I mean he took that Loki gank without issue, and it's just showing how comfortable not only he is on the Rom pick, but how good of a position Rom is in right now with this crit meta anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I might be a little bit biased because I'm a tank main, but I don't feel like tanks should be taking 600 damage crits when, you know, things like spectral armor are in the build. As Assassinate rings through again, El Rosa might be in trouble here, but not enough damage there. Trixie gonna chase further and get the kill! An auto, all that's needed. Trixie Dream's able to run down the solo laner of Bodega Hive.
Looks like beads got taken off of Camazotz, was taken from that rotation from underclass hero as well, so he's not as safe as he used to be, and with 3 members could be some danger for him here under this tier 1 tower.
A good leap by the ADC. Serket looking for the ADC and is gonna find him. Pushed back into that tower line, but the tower is gone. Seven taking the kill on Camazotz was taken.
Is quite a couple unanswered kills here in this duo lane, putting the gold lead up to around 2,000, 1,900 now here at the 1,400 mark. We're seeing the attempts. It's not that Trixie Dreams isn't coming here over on the left. He's just not quite able to get anything done. As a lot of damage gets put onto Freak itself, who does have to use that Aegis, but will survive from it.
He was trying to keep a hold of it, it looked like.
He really was. And he might have been able to survive that last hit, but better safe than sorry. Loses that little measure of safety, but manages to live, especially with this Gold Fury being up and both teams seeming like they want to group up around it with the solo laners in mid. I like him just...
Speaking of solo laners in mid, the Shang-Ah in trouble as Morgan Le Fay not able to get away. Is killed off in mid, but Rich going down just the same. Underclass hero able to pick up the kill. The entirety of Bodega Hive chasing the support through the tower. El Rosa not letting him get away. Death's Kiss sending him back into the team, and Simon gonna pick up the kill.
I was trying to kind of give props to Freak itself for playing safe there. He chooses not to back, I think he interrupted his back, and then it was just a free target for Trixie Dreams on the Loki. Ended up falling anyway, but luckily Bodega Hive turned that team fight around. A great rotation and fight out of Rosa, making his presence known in the mid lane there and just stopping any form of escape that Order of the Blight wanted to have there at the end of that team fight, resulting in another couple kills for his squad.
Absolutely, and one thing I'm really worried about right now from the support role, he's doing quite a job just standing up to a lot of these Merlin players, but 2025, that damage from the Horus, and you would expect more, but the Loki as well at 3377. I feel like the Loki is going to be doing a lot more farming anyway than maybe a Horus obviously would. However, the Horus should be above the Emoja damage and is just falling further and further behind.
Yeah, Trixie Dreams doesn't have a lot of damage right now, but he is 4-1. He's getting there when it matters. He's finishing those targets, which is kind of what a Loki does early until he can get some more farm under his belt, and then I imagine those damage numbers will start to climb quite rapidly with the amount of just bursts that he'll be able to have.
An absolutely fair thing to point out. I completely overlooked that myself, that he's really just going in, getting the last like 3 or 4 hits and securing kills. As Bodega Hive go ahead and start up the Gold Fury. And it looks like Order of the Blight aren't even going to contest. The only 3 that are near don't know that it's going on.
They must not, because they're not even... They could be opting to just trade for the Pyromancer. That looks like that's the call.
Absolutely do. They're trading for the Pyro here. There's no way you walk the entire team away from an ongoing fight without deciding to do the other objective. Excavate coming through and Assassinate coming through as well, but no one dead for it. However, El Rosa able to pull Trixie Dreams and Obluo back. Obluo going to die for the sins of his jungler. Though nothing really going on here except El Bubble probably dying. Indeed, El Bubble does go down. The leap out from Kamazatsu was taken. The ult used as well, dropping the Suns! And the Astral Barrage not going to be enough. The Aegis ended up to save him from that, but El Rosa able to knock him back up into death.
El Rosa's Hercules is an absolute nightmare if you're Order of the Blight. He is just walking at the entirety of their team, not caring at all what's happening, walking through any amount of damage, and he's just hitting pull after pull after pull, getting the job done every time.
Hercules, the low key trying to just roam his jungle, but Bodega Hive are all backing in his jungle. Bacon going to go ahead and assist in getting this tower taken down, as El Rosa gets the last hit or two on it.
Order of the Blight have to come up with something to deal with El Rosa on this Hercules, and I don't know if they're going to be able to kill him. I mean, he's level 17. He's probably got a decent amount of gold in his pocket, and he's already fairly tanky and hard to deal with. At 2,400 gold in hand, once he backs and picks up what I assume will be a Spirit Robe next, it's going to be even harder to deal with him. But he's just creating so much space and setting up so much for his team. He's definitely priority number one.
What I want to see is whether Obluo is going to convert this silver breastplate that he's got right now into a contagion or not. If he's converting that into a contagion, I feel like this is a great build path for him to go down. But it
might be Spectral though. He's got the double crit that he's got to stand up against.
At that point, I feel like you bite the bullet. You've got to help your team against this Hercules before you can help yourself against these crits.
Yeah, I mean they do have, Yamoja heals. Morgan Le Fay's got some heals with her, and so I definitely agree that they need some more anti-heal. Just we'll have to see what path he decides to go down.
There's just not enough anti-heal on Order of the Blight. There just isn't enough. Shang-A, it looks like, is going to start the Divine Ruin tree.
Yeah, but otherwise right now it's just that Brawler's Beat Stick out of Rich is the only form of anti-heal they have for Yamoja Hercules, which is quite a bit to deal with. On the opposite side, with the Chang'e and the Horus, don't see any anti-heal yet out of Bodega Hive, but it hasn't really been hurting them at all.
They haven't felt pressured by it at all.
Yeah. Who cares about their healing if they all just end up dead?
Fight looks like it's going to break out here. El Rosa not able to pull Dirty Bubble back in this time.
Double blink for that Chang'e. Both forms of CC ended up being off the mark. That's a little win.
Freak itself getting a little freaky over there. Assassinate used to get the beads off the ROM, but again, nothing really to show for it. Both teams, or Order of the Blight, backing off. El Rosa once further in.
We're 21 minutes into this game. Like, they're going to get the Pyromancer right now, but if they can get a semi-clean teamfight win, that Fire Giant is more than on the table, as well as the Oni Fury on that left-hand side.
Absolutely. Order of the Blight, though, on the other side of the map right now, and Bodega Hive making their way over. Freak itself decided I want to look at the green buff, but green is dropped. And instead, Bodega Hive will do what they should, in my opinion, do, and they'll go take the Oni Fury.
I love
considering no one's near. It's just free. You were about to say
completely
something.
Free. I love the little play that we just saw out of Underclass Hero there. While his team was doing Pyromancer, knowing that could be the go button for the Oni Fury, he went over to the Fury Pit and sat there invisible in the corner. That way, if Order of the Blight rotated over and tried to pull that Fury, he'd have perfect vision on it. They probably wouldn't know he was there because they don't have vision in that pit. And then he could have tried to steal or at least kept his team updated. It did end up mattering. They managed to get both objectives without issue. But I love the awareness out of Underclass Hero there.
Absolutely, and that is exactly what you want to see out of your jungler. Heroism, the pickup from the Emoja as well. So that's going to negate a lot of what Horus wants to do. That single target CC not going to find near as much value as Horus is almost pulled back in by Alrosa yet again.
Looks like it was the Spectral call for Bluo that's wanting to try and survive out these crits as a big fight in right is taking place.
And El Rosa able to take down the Hu Yi. Didn't see what happened exactly. But Zemun taken down on his return down from the Astral Barrage by El Dirty Bubble. Lot going on. Excavate dropped. Bubble able to make his way out. Fracture out as well. Not a lot going on in that back line, but Freak itself able to take down Trixie Dreams in the middle of all the chaos. El Rosa looking, Freak looking as well, but no more fighting to be done here. However, Obluo and Rich seem like they see a couple of people out of position back off as Freak itself retreats.
Rosa took damage from that tower, but before that, he was sitting in the middle of 4 members of the Order of the Blight squad and was just chilling at like 3/4 HP. It didn't even look like his health bar was moving much. This Hercules is just unstoppable right now. And I know I've said it a few times, but I feel like he's what Order of the Blight are going to have to get through. He's the raid boss that they're going to have to beat if they're going to get a team fight win here. And he just picked up the tier 2 of, I want to say Stone of Fall, but that's wrong.
Stone of Binding. I believe,
thank you.
is what you're looking for.
Yep.
Absolutely. And this is exactly why I was saying Order of the Blight, it's about getting ahead. This game is about putting your foot to the floor, putting the pedal to the metal, and getting ahead. Order of the Blight is behind significant amounts of golden XP, and this is not a comp out of them that wants to play from behind. So they need to be able to shore up these defenses. Trixie Dream's able to go ahead and get a tower to cut into that gold lead a little bit, but well, team-wide gold is great. They know he's over there, and Bodega Hive is going to take the Fire Giant. So it looks like Order of the Blight knows this is going on, because there's a lot of posturing going on, but can they get there in time? Rom putting in a lot of damage on the fire. Order of the Blight stealing away!
Oh my God.
The ult out of Hu Yi! The sun's dropped and now the retreat called! Blue with the Protector's Dash! And the fracture and the knock-up coming through. Can he get everybody out? He will not get out himself. There comes the Blue! But can anyone else leave? The answer is yes. Order of the Blight will get out, but they will lose a tower for their efforts in getting the Fire Giant buff.
Absolutely huge for Order of the Blight to steal that Fire Giant away there. We were about to be talking about Phoenix Sieges and pretty much like the beginning of the end of this game. But getting the Fire Giant there, sure, you lose your support, but that is always going to be worth it. And they're going to have such a good chance.
Can we get a look at the golden XP graphs right quick? Look at the dip. Look at the dip. That is Fire Giant right there.
Big,
Order of the Blight getting
swing.
themselves back in the game a little bit as El Dirty Bubble tries to get a kill over here in mid. Assassinate rings true, but onto a target with both Beads and Aegis at the ready. Freak itself getting Trixie Dreams killed as the Rom goes in the Astral Barrage to save himself. El Rosa quite low alongside Fatty Bacon. Underclass Hero able to pick up El Dirty Bubble and fire removed from yet another member after that fight.
It's really just
Another
extending the
members.
game, stealing that fire. They're still, you can tell in these team fights, they're still on the back foot. They're still down in gold. They don't have the everything they need to like kind of turn this around to offense for them. but it's really slowing down what Bodega Hive would have been able to do, and is allowing them more time to farm up to get those items, and for a possible mistake to come through for Bodega, or for any sort of opening. That stealing of that fire giant at that moment was so big to get themselves back to have like a chance into this game.
El Rosa took like no damage from that tower shot.
Yeah. They got him low, and they weren't able to finish it. I mean, at what point you can't ignore him? You can't just ignore a Hercules and try to kill the teammates around him, because he'll just punish you for that all day. It's just so hard to deal with him, which is why he's probably the best solo laner full stop right now.
Absolutely. And as we were talking about earlier, Shang-A definitely opting for Sacrificial Shroud, alongside Morgan Le Fay opting for the exact same starter upgrade. That Sacrificial Shroud, but no extra cooldowns for the Morgan Le Fay.
That could be a Soul Gem pickup, which will be a little bit more cooldown. Soul Gem not in as good of a spot as it was not too long ago, but still brings everything you kind of want out of an item. Just the numbers aren't quite where they used to be. So I don't completely hate the pickup, and it does bring a little bit more of that cooldown. But she's only going to have 20 CDR with her full build, moving up to 30 with that power pot.
Absolutely. Bodega Hive setting up for yet another tower siege, as the fire giant will fall off the belts of Kamazats and Rich. And it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a reset here, as Bodega Hive just tries to keep up the pressure. El Rosa standing on a ward, though, with 4 members nearby. This could be, but it won't. El Rosa still just...
He took like a fifth of his HP there. 4 members.
Quarter.
Took a little bit. Maybe I'll give you a quarter. But he's just going to back. He's going to pick up that Stone of Binding. He's got his sigil already upgraded, and he's just going to walk back in and be ready for this fire giant, which will be EFG by the time either team get to it. So this is a very big pickup. We need to see a little bit more secure out of Bodega Hive if they want to be able to finish this game out.
Something I'm a bit worried about here. The Horus went Heart Ward over Pestilence. With that much healing on the enemy team, and there's no Ankh on that as well, that could spell quite a few issues.
Yeah, Kamazat's Taken has not opted to get that Envenomed Glyph upgrade either yet, so it's just the Divine Ruin and the Brawlers in terms of healing. And with the Yamoja able to just heal the whole team, and Herc, I mean, look how much health he got off of that single use of his third ability there. It is going to be hard for them to eat through. They're going to have to just... They need to win these fights quickly. If you're not going to pick up the anti-heal, you have to just blow them up where the sustain won't matter.
You're not blowing up Herc.
No, you're not.
It's not happening.
You have to blow up everybody around Herc and hope the fight is over and he can't just 1v5. But honestly, El Rosa might be able to 1v5.
I think El Rosa could 1v5 here.
He's playing so well on this pick. It looks like they're starting fire back there.
Hiding in the grass a little bit here. Definitely looking for another steal, but El Rosa is not going to allow it if he can help it. The Hu Yi moving up alongside the Shang-A, but it doesn't matter. The Bodega Hive and take the fire giant, and it looks like they're going to start the fight. Trixie Dreams going ahead and walking away. Not much he can do on his own as a solo agent from the backline as a low-key. So he's going to keep himself safe and fight with the team.
Late beads.
Amazaz was taken, knocked into the air. Again, as you point out, the late beads. Oh, Bluo going to fall for those sins yet again. And the ult coming through from the Marticarus, but not going to be enough for Nikolai Hero with the kill there. El Rosa walking through, eating all of the Phoenix shots and taking the team in the back line. Trixie Dreams with a lot of backstab damage. El Rosa pushing them back into his team. Double kill, triple kill for the ADC, and a deicide for Bodega Hive as they take the best of one. I would imagine. There's no way they don't.
But they're burning the Titan. They definitely get to get this win, and that will push them on to the playoffs next week.
Bodega Hive taking the best of one over Order of the Blight Merlin division in quite dominant fashion.
El Rosa on that Hercules was just a monster. We saw there at the end, it was just the Rom and the Yamoja doing that fire giant. So it wasn't the quickest of burns, but El Rosa was just standing there holding the ire of 3 to 4 members of Order of the Blight, and there was nothing they could do. He bought infinite space for his team that let them get that enhanced fire giant and just walk down that right lane, winning the team fight and getting the win. Underclass Hero doing so much work in this game as well. 5, 1, and 11 is a very good slash line for the Cirquette. He did pilot it to that level that we were talking about there at the beginning of the game.
Trixie Dreams not able to hit critical mass either. Certainly helps the enemy squad when they group up quite well and don't let the Loki just get one target. However, one thing I'm really looking at here, where was the anti-heal? Throughout that whole game, you have both the frontliners just healing it up. 7,500 player healing.
Yeah, definitely could have used a bit more anti-heal. Did not end up working out in their favor. That is going to do it, though, for us here in this Merlin Division Gauntlet matchup. We have some Arthur games coming at you in just a few minutes. You definitely don't want to go anywhere. Thanks again for watching, and we will see you in the next one.